Hello again, everybody. It's Harry Buxley, the technical trader at thetechtrader.com. It's Thursday, March 17th, St. Paddy's Day, and the markets had an interesting kind of mixed day today, but a lot of stocks we follow, particularly in oils, even the fracking stocks today started picking it up. Some of the golds had a little bit of a choppy day, but I'm going to show you some stocks today. Very interesting. And starting off with Brazil, the BRZU, look at this. It's been interesting how much of a down move this has had, taking it all the way down and reverse splitting along the way. But you can see that the channel ended here with the breakout and then a retest right to not only moving averages, but the broken trend line and establishing a new rising channel, but it exploded off of that and set up this little double top here. Now this zone is resistance. You can see that BRZU 23-ish. It pops from 20 to 22.5, 23 tomorrow. That could be it short term, but they may just get a blow off. In any case, you have key resistance on that in that zone. Now the EWZ, which is the other company in that same group, they look exactly alike, and they should. Again, BRZU, EWZ. This one's a little different, but also up against resistance. And you can see it actually took it out slightly with huge volume. 56.6 million shares of this today. If it follows through, we may very well see 29 short term. And the BRZU, if it follows through, could very well get up in perhaps the 29 area as well. That's a kind of a target for both. But there is a little bit of resistance on it in here at 20, let's call it 24.5. So 24.5 and 29, that could be a big move if the Brazilian markets take off. And there's a lot of volume on the upside on this. This could be interesting. CENX continues to act well. Now the big declining jet channel there was broken and then retested. Moving averages crossed over and it ripped. How many times do you hear me say when you see a big down move, it then pops and moving averages cross over? The first pullback to that is the #1 key best point to buy a stock on an intermediate to longer term basis. Anyway, CNX went from 396 in just a few weeks to 894, more than about 150%, and then pulled back in a nice falling wedge, very orderly. Notice where that hit, right on the trend line. Almost exactly. So there's your channel. And today was the pop. On 2.6 million, it jumped 49 cents or 6.5%. More importantly, closing near the upper end of the range, it may very well test. So your targets right now are run at 895. And then I'm looking at 12, 12.5. This could be a good swing trade here. I may put one on. Great OBV, 3.1 days to cover. Cray, well, I'm liking the way Cray is looking in here. Remember the big breakaway gap and then a pullback and a nice three-wave corrective rollover that run right to the trend line near the 50 and lateral price support. Popped, broke out, went up to my next target around 40, pulled back to the trend line, almost exactly to it. One more breakout here, and now a beautiful bull coil type pattern. This looks like it's going to break out. My target's 48 and then 55.7. And I am going to put a swing on this one tomorrow. I think we already have a swing on that one. So, you know, I'm not, I think I missed Cray last time around. I did. Yes, I did. So Cray's going to probably be put out tomorrow if it makes any kind of move at all. EDU, well, I know that Gio mentioned this one a while back and a couple times on the weekend videos when he asked me questions about EDU, how it looked. And it really looked pretty good, and you noticed in the last couple of weeks it pulled back and formed a little wedge in here. That's typical when you break out. Now here's the breakout right there. So what it basically did is it broke out of a base, ran up to resistance, pulled back, formed a neat little wedge right there. Pretty low volume on it. On the pullback, you see the word consolidation. And today it popped, after reversing yesterday, it popped through and broke out. Now this is new all-time highs. So we could very well see the stock extend into the low, to the high 30s and low 40s at some point. If I draw the line the way I normally would, I would connect these lows there and then draw a parallel line, something like that. And then roll it up to there. So there's my target on a swing trade, about 10 points, believe it or not, near 45.6. EMES, well, the sand fracking stocks, which were in very big jeopardy, the price of oil kept dropping and they're losing a lot of business. You can see how much this stock has dropped. Yes, in August of 2014, this was like 100 $45.71. That far down. It dropped to under $2 in January when it spiked down to 197 and then reversed. After it reversed, it formed a little wedge because it could not get through the declining top line, lateral resistance, or the 50. But that was done here as it broke out across the moving averages in the 50, and then here as it broke out across lateral resistance. It ran up to what looks like a parallel channel top and pulled back very gently, low volume ebb, and then popped right off of that. This is a nice symmetrical chart pattern. My guesstimate is we're going to see this get up to 9.5 with some resistance around 7 3/4. Those are your targets. It's almost 6 days to cover on this one. Well, ERII was making a nice move. We first bought it here, anticipating the pop and the wedge. We had a nice swing on it. But then for 3 months, it just drifted lower in an orderly channel. Then it broke out. We noted that when it did break here, across the moving average of crossing over, and it broke out. Then it pulled back from resistance and shot up again right to near where there's a long-term resistance level. Let's go back, way back in here. Let's leave it at that. So you can see why it may have stalled in here, but I think the stock is headed for its all-time high at 13.25 and then some. And with the action today, after the falling wedge, yesterday reversing and today following through, up about 5.5% at $500,000, I think the stock is going to accelerate and get up near 13, 14 range. Almost 10 days to cover. That should be interesting. EROS, well. This stock was a beauty for a long time as it ran up and exploded into the near 40 range, 39 change. It rolled over and got crushed, absolutely destroyed down into the single digits. But over the last several months, it's formed a base, and today it popped and broke out. 1 million shares, up $2.02 or 20.5%. That's a breakout, folks. And the next target on EROS has to be about 14.25, 35. So look for an extension on this one as early as tomorrow morning. Finisar. Well, this is a stock that had done very well, but it's extremely choppy over long term. What I'm looking at now is the possibilities that this stock is going to extend beyond. If you're looking at the daily chart, broke out of the declining pattern, popped, filled the gap, came back and retested, and ran up. Recently, having a strong report, it exploded right in here about 4 days ago, pulled back but held that gap, and then turned around yesterday and followed through today. You can see where resistance is right here. Keep an eye on today's high at 1771. We get through that, this stock could be in the 20 and 23 range going forward, particularly if volume keeps up, and it did trade 2.4 million today with 6.3 days to cover. HCLP is another stock in that industry along with EMES that got hammered. This one only from 70 or so down to 3 and change. Now look at this declining tops line and declining bottoms line. It's a distinct down channel. But the last couple of days, well, before the last couple of days, the stock was stalled at its 50-day. But in a nice bull coil, or bull wedge, let's call it. Low volume ebb right before the last 2 days, right there at the apex, and then pop. If I can get this above 7.1520, above this line here, you can take that out as early as tomorrow. I think we're going to make a move up towards 8.5, maybe as high as 11. Keep your eye on this one as well. HLX, a stock that we had traded in here on its beautiful head and shoulders, but were stopped out when it broke down underneath here. Eventually taking it down to 260. Wow. Since then, it's more than doubled, popped out above the moving averages, and pulled back as the moving averages crossed over. And today was a nice day, popping 88 cents or 19% on 4.3 million. So I'm thinking this is going to get up in that zone near 7 and then 9. Those are my targets. LXU, big move down from last April when it was traded at 47. This got all the way down to under 4, so more than a 90% drop. You're declining tops line there. Look at the explosive move a week and a half ago on big volume, breaking out of its base, and then setting up a nice little pennant or flag. Call it a falling wedge, more accurate. Today it popped out of that, and volume started to increase. Keep an eye on this one. I think you're going to test a gap at about 13.5 short term. That's my short term target. There's 6.3 days to cover in this one as well. That brings me to NBLY. If you remember this, baby, up and up and really down. This stock got crushed from the mid-60s down to the low 20s. but a nice rally in the last couple, 3-4 weeks. It's taken us from the 22 range to the 37.5 range. Today, yesterday it popped out across the declining top line, and today it extended. I would look for a move towards 40, and then maybe 43, 44. Let's see if this bullish channel can continue, and your stop would be under 32 perhaps, for example. 9 days to cover on this one. Now the Russian ETFs did great today. Take a look at this. They've been doing well since their spike lows in January. From 1184, this stock has gone up to almost 17 today, 1668 or so. But it closed at the high end of the range for the last 3 months. At this point, I'm expecting it to test this triple top. It comes in around 17 3/4. We get through that, your next target is close to 21, 20 3/4. So 20, and that's for the RSX. The RUSL, similarly, has just taken out a major declining tops line, consolidated, and popped out today. On 3.8 million, that's the biggest volume since the end of January, early February, when it ran up here. I think it can extend. I think eventually we're looking at a run up towards 19. My short-term target is 16. Silica is the one I put a swing on today because for me it's the leader in that sand fracking group. EMES was, but Silica held up much better. They're in better financial shape. Yes, it did drop from the high 60s down into the mid-teens, but on 3 occasions held here, here, and here, and then broke up towards resistance, backed off, formed a wedge. Today was a breakout. Look at the volume of 10.3 million. This is a stock that I think has completed the base pattern, is about to explode. My near-term targets are 26 and near 30. This is a new swing. Keep an eye on that one. There's 7 days to cover. Now, the oil ETFs, the UCO continues, but more importantly, it's taken out this little double top today with this pop on 16.6 million shares, up 7.3%. I think we're going to test 11, 40, 50 short term, and secondary target is 13 1/4. I could give it a USO too. We'll take a quick look at it. Same thing. It looks just as good. The gas stocks that are doing well. The UGAZ down. Check this out because this is important. When I look at this pattern, I see a dramatic declining channel. Okay, and it is somewhat parallel if you draw these lines across here. But what we're seeing today, and in the last 6 days or 8 days in a row now, 9 days, up every day for 9 days, and today in particular, it popped 220 or 9%. Looks to me like it's headed for 32 and then 37. Those are my targets going forward on UGAZ. But it's up this many days in a row. We could get a pullback. However, the way that's acting and the UNG's acting, both of them up multiple days in a row. You can see only 1 day slightly off on this one, but this one looks like it's running up towards 7 and then maybe eventually 8. So for me, the UGAZ has maybe a lot more potential. We'll see. Silver, I didn't want to exclude silver. It's acting well. The USLV, I want to show you this. The long-term declining tops line, the real long-term, comes in here. But the declining tops line of the last year and a half is right there. And we pierced that today. Take a look. This is the pop. Watch this level tomorrow, 1468. It gets through that. It may very well run up towards 16 3/4. That's my next target. Big volume on the upside. These 2 days had huge volume. Today was 1.8 million. That's big volume for that stock. And you can look at any of them. SLV, same similar pattern. More importantly, SLW, a silver stock, had been ripping. It did have a reversal day today, and I would look to see if it consolidates. But just like gold, silver, and silver stocks are moving dramatically. The UWTI, and also in the oil sector, has been phenomenal after its 10-for-1 reverse split. You can see how the near-term declining tops line was taken out there. Ran up to the moving average, stalled, pulled back, and held, and then today popped again. It was up 265 at 10.6%. Very volatile. Next target, 34 and 38. Keep an eye on this one. And lastly is WLL, an actual little oil stock that we traded today nicely. It was up almost 5%, but you can see this big spike and hold and a rising flag tell me this is going higher. The next targets are just under 11 and then maybe 13 and a half. And that's an exhaustive look at some of the longs today. I wish I had more time for the shorts, but that's going to be it for tonight. Everybody have a good evening, and let's do it again tomorrow in the trading room. See ya.